start with you, Jennie. I mean, a very unusual situation, two senior royals in the same private London hospital at exactly the same time. And though everybody's keeping very, very calm about it all.
They are. It is a very unusual situation. Also, of course, we've got the Duchess of York giving her news about her skin cancer. So it's been an extraordinary week for royal health. I think they're showing an awful lot of good sense, actually, the royals. They're both in the same hospital, which is extremely unusual, obviously. Normally, the royals and Prince Charles, as he was then, if he had anything wrong, they would all go to the King Edward VII Hospital for officers in London. I spent many an hour outside that hospital. But there's no one outside the London clinic. And I think it's sensible that they're both there because that cuts down on security costs, obviously. And the media have been incredibly well behaved. No one is allowed to camp outside, as we normally do when a royal's in hospital. So she and the King have been afforded the privacy that they want. And we don't even know with the Princess of Wales what visitors she's had. Because presumably they've gone in the back, apart from her husband. So it's all been very calm, as you say, very dignified, in the way that the royals have wanted it, and I think that's a good thing.
And Camilla, you know, goes to visit her husband, comes out smiling, very, very grown up about the whole thing. There are no histrionics, are there? Really, you don't get weeping into a lace-edged handkerchief or anything like that with the royal family.
No, but I mean, that was unusual in itself, that the King would be accompanied. When we've seen royals go in before, generally you don't see them go in anyway, but they've gone alone. And very often the late Queen wouldn't go to visit her husband and vice versa. For some reason, I always thought it was extraordinary. But here we've seen a quite different scenario. Camilla not only accompanying her husband to the hospital this morning, but staying there for a full 6 hours, coming out, as you say, looking very cheerful and saying that he was doing well. So an immediate update for us. And that's really quite new ground. So, do you know, in a way, they're behaving sort of normally.
Sort of like us. That's exactly what I was going to say, because I remember my late mother. My mother's been dead 28 years, but I remember my late mother exclaiming about how long it used to take, for example, the Queen to go and visit when a brand new grandchild was born. It used to take weeks and weeks. Sometimes they'd go months, and she hadn't actually popped over to have a look at the baby. And everyone used to think, well, goodness, I know they're royal, but they are human. This is a little strange. And most wives, especially of husbands in their 70s, but all devoted wives and husbands and, you know, live-in lovers and everybody else, would want to take the one they love into hospital if they were having an operation. So it does feel much more like us, Jennie, than it used to.
Absolutely, it really does. I mean, I think it's a testament to how devoted they are to one another. I think we all realise that now. And I thought it was rather nice that there were a few onlookers as she left the hospital. Apparently they saw her, and reportedly people said, "We love you, Camilla." And that's music to her ears. It must be, after, you know, the years of cynicism and verbal abuse that she's undergone. I think she perhaps feels now that she does have a place in some people's hearts.
And let me ask you this, Jennie. Obviously, you know, you're a veteran reporter on the royal family. You've been around for you know, decades of their history, although you look incredibly young, may I say, and absolutely spring chicken-like. So it's a miracle that you were, but you were. So did you, if I'd asked you, you know, let's say when Princess Diana died, if I had said to you then, do you think Camilla will ever be A, Queen of England, the Queen upon the throne of this country, and B, beloved by its people, not everybody, but largely warmly regarded, enthusiastically greeted, and stories everywhere about her sense of humour, her down-to-earthness, her approachability, you know, championing the victims of domestic violence. I mean, lots of things that people really thoroughly esteem, championing children's reading, for example, you know, being, as many people will say, a thoroughly good sort and being appreciated for being that. Would you have said that could ever happen, or would you have said that was impossible?
I think I would have said that was impossible. Speaking as someone who reported outside Kensington Palace a year on from Diana's death, and mentioned the name Camilla and was shouted down on live television by the people who gathered around the camera, it seemed to be impossible that she could ever be accepted at all, never mind loved by some. So it's been one heck of a journey. But I know Camilla a little bit, and I think she is a very down-to-earth, decent woman, and I think she deserves the place she's now got in our society.
Let me bring Rupert Bell into the conversation. Rupert, lovely to see you on the programme. Thank you very much for joining me. You've obviously had an opportunity also to witness Camilla being, you know, reviled and despised, and you know, people thinking that she was, you know, the architect with the now king, but then Prince Charles, of this terrible misery inflicted on Diana Spencer, a young girl who, you know, unsuspectingly and unknowingly kind of wandered into that arrangement and that relationship. And people felt very, very harshly disposed, very often towards both of them. And that was one of the things raked up by the latest series of The Crown. When you have been observing and commentating, have you been surprised at the way in which Camilla, as Jennie says, quite miraculously and unexpectedly, has been able to turn this around?
It's her no-nonsense approach to life, full stop, that I think endears her. She just gets on with it. Yes, she knew that she was going to be unpopular. Just as Jennie said, it was never going to be an easy ride for her. But I think the long PR game that the Palace have played to endear her increasingly to the public has paid off. And we've really seen it this week as a further example that actually, you'd have to say the Palace have played a pretty good PR game over this whole, what's been going on over the last 10 days. With the king and the prostate problem has clearly deflected some of their focus away from the Princess of Wales, which has to be a good thing. And actually what the king and the queen have done by sort of highlighting the issue has been a really positive, impactful moment for the royal family, that they are making a difference, and the reports coming in. So actually, Camilla, and once again, I think she's been announced a patron of the Queen, the Anne Frank Trust as well, to highlight her commitment to causes as well. So whatever she's doing at the moment, she's playing and the PR people are playing a very good game, but it's entirely natural. I know people have dealt with her from some of her patronages and just say she just no nonsense, wants to get on with it. And this week is a typical example of that.
I must say, though, Jennie, you know, she must feel like any other wife must feel, leaving her husband in hospital after an operation. You know, it's not a nice feeling when you're driven home alone, is it? And you know, you've had to leave him there, even if he is going to come out tomorrow or nice and soon.
Yes, I'm sure she will have, you know, a little worry there, and she'll feel a little lonely, a little bit lost this evening. But this is a relatively minor procedure, and we're told it's gone well. We know it's benign. And so he is going to stay in hospital, we're told, for at least one night. But I expect, knowing King Charles, you know, he'll want to bounce back as soon as he possibly can. Camilla herself has said he's already longing to get back to work. So I'm not quite sure how long his recovery will take, but she will be there being Nurse Camilla rather than Queen Camilla, I'm quite sure, for the next few weeks.
Okay, one last question for you, Jennie. We've talked about a woman turning a story around. I wonder whether you feel that Fergie, who has also been, you know, bracingly honest and you know, incredibly kind of down to earth and approachable about what she's going through, and nobody would wish this on their worst enemy, you know, breast cancer diagnosis, a mastectomy, a reconstruction, and now malignant melanoma. Poor woman, honestly, what a lot to take on, quite in addition to everything she's been going through with what's been happening with Prince Andrew and his reputation and everything else. Do you think that she has managed to turn around her position in the hearts or minds of the British public as well, or do you think she still remains on the outskirts?
No, I think she has made a remarkable recovery. It seemed absolutely impossible some time ago, didn't it, when she was found selling access to Prince Andrew for £500,000. I mean, you did not think she could sink any lower, and I didn't think she'd be allowed back into the royal fold. Well, we've seen that happen, and I think she has regained a place in the affection of many of the public because of her resilience to everything that's happened to her, some of it of her own making, true. Yes. But she has shown such courage, really, in the face of what she's confronted with right now. And I think, yes, I think people kind of think, well, good on you. And you know what? You are loyal, Fergie. You are loyal. I know Andrew is reviled, to use your word, by so many people. But she has stood by her man literally through thick and thin. And that is something to be admired, isn't it?
Something to be wondered at, I think. Absolutely remarkable. Thank you both very much